listening to Sum It Up, an LSR7 podcast. There are more than 3,000 high school speech and debate programs across the country, and 2 teams from LSR7 are ranked in the nation's top 100. Let's learn what it takes to earn that honor and how this success leads to more opportunities for our speech and debate students. I'm Katie Bergen, Executive Director of Public Relations for the school district, and I'm here with representatives from the speech and debate teams at Lee Summit West High School and Lee Summit North High School. Greetings, guests, and welcome to the podcast. I'm going to start things off just by having you introduce yourselves.
All right. I'm Nick Harris. I'm a fourth-year debater at Lee Summit West High School. I do Lincoln Douglas. It's great.
I'm Matt Good. I am the debate coach at Lee Summit West High School, where I have taught for 10 years.
I am Ben Jewell. I am the debate coach at Lee Summit North High School, where I have taught for 23 years.
I'm Maddie Norris. I'm a fourth-year debater from Lee Summit North High School, and I do public forum.
Excellent. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Maddie and Nick, I'm going to start with you guys. I really want you to tell us what led you to speech and debate. How did you find each other? Nick, start with you.
All right. For our school, it's mainly just because of Mr. Good. We've got teacher of distinction over here, and he's just got like a personality that draws people in, but our students really do a lot of self-motivation to help make sure that we do a proper job. So it's the students and the faculty that keep us coming to Lee Summit West debate.
And Maddie, what about you? What drew you to speech and debate?
I moved in middle school, so I was really just looking for a place to fit in, and I'm really competitive, so it was a good place to exercise that.
And tell us a little bit about what you can expect in a speech and debate club or environment. If you were going to describe the speech and debate environment when you show up for the club, how would you describe it?
I think it really depends on the time of year. You know, if it's the beginning, you'll see a lot of peer coaching, a lot of varsities or second years helping out the new kids. If you're in the middle of the year, it'll probably be a lot of research because of how often the topic changes, a lot of practice debates in the hallways. And if it's near district season, then it's a little bit more focused and chaotic at the same time.
And Mr. Good, do students specialize in speech and debate? Are there different events or categories that students are working within? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, students in speech and debate at both high schools have 3 different debate events and 10 or 11 different individual events that they choose from. And the Debate 1 curriculum and the competitive dramatics curriculum at both schools sort of serves as a survey of those different events so that the students can then pick and specialize in the type of debate and the individual event they would like to do at competitive tournaments and going forward in the program.
And Mr. Jewell, with so many events and different categories within the program, how do you balance sort of catering to students who are choosing different areas to specialize in?
You teach them one thing really well that can be used in 1,000 different ways. So when you come into my classroom, and I think this is true of Matt's too, we start with one kind of debate. And you learn the basics for argumentation. And the basics in argumentation for debate are very, I'll say, similar. And so once you learn that skill, it's very easy to move between the different kinds of debate that exist. So they'll also, students will learn a kind of debate and then an individual event, which is one of those 11 other events that are the speaking events. And once you get that first event, then it is very easy to sort of transfer the skills and the knowledge to different sorts of events. But typically speaking, a class is going to start off and it's a race through the first about 8 weeks to get kids who know absolutely nothing to be able to stand up and present a case, make an argument, get through an entire debate, and also do their individual event separately. And so that is the great marathon at the beginning of our years.
And Nick, tell us a little bit about what you specialize in.
Well, I do Lincoln Douglas, which is the one-on-one debate, which typically tends to be more of morality-driven. So the way that we do this is we'll just have a different topic every other month. So at the start of the first month that we get this new topic, we'll do a lot of casework, do a lot of research, and get it done. And then for the rest of the time, we'll just do a bunch of practice rounds. We'll practice our speaking skills, all of this sort of stuff. learn how to present ourselves well and use the knowledge that we've done the background research on.
And what's probably, if you were going to pick a particular area or topic that you explored this year, what was your favorite or most memorable from this year?
Well, what we just talked about is like pharmaceutical patents and whether or not they should be reduced or expanded on and all of that sort of stuff. So we did a lot of just research on the status quo for pharmaceutical monopolies that are existing and what we should do about them. So it's a lot less of like country against country, but it's our own country and how we should be supporting each other.
And Maddie, what about you? Tell us what you specialize in.
I've done public forum for a couple of years, and it's very similar in the case building and the research, but it's much more policy driven rather than morality. It's most often related to international politics or national politics.
Are those topics that you knew you were interested in before you came to debate, or were they fostered through that experience?
I think it's a little bit of both. Definitely what you get with debate is very specific knowledge about very specific issues. We've had a lot of topics that deal with nuclear energy. We've had topics that deal with pharmaceuticals. We've had topics that deal with international relations. And I think that you just kind of have to be interested in learning and researching, and then loving those topics comes later.
And Mr. Jewell, I asked our students a little bit about what the club environment at school is like. If you were going to describe the competition environment to someone who had never experienced before, what does a speech and debate competition look like?
Well, you're going to walk into any number of area schools when they host their tournament. We just did last weekend, as a matter of fact. And, we will take, let's say, on a crazy year, it'll be like 90 rooms out of 90 rooms. We will transform that high school into 13 different events in speech and 6 different events in debate, and you have to have a judge in every one of those rooms. You've got, let's say, 800 to 1,000 competitors in the building moving around. Tournaments start at about 3:30 on Friday. They run until about 10:30 at night, and then we get up in the morning, get on the bus at 6:45, go back. And if you're there through the what we call the out rounds of debate, which are the quarterfinals, semifinals, and final rounds of debate, then you're going to be there until about 7 o'clock at night again. And so in the midst of all of that, what happens to a team is, there's typically, let's say, 25 schools at a tournament from across the state and the region. So during the course of the time that you were there, which is virtually 24 hours, your team kind of turns into a family, and it might be, a family on the island of misfit toys. It might be a happy family some years. It might be a little dysfunctional. It's always fun. And so kids are sort of, remade into debaters after their first tournament.
And Mr. Good, Coach Jewell makes a good segue for my next question, which is, can you talk about the leadership opportunities that hosting a debate tournament provides for our students?
Yeah, there is, and I'll admit some bias here, but I don't think there's anything a high school kid can do and be a part of that is akin to the experience of having a leadership position in hosting this tournament. Mr. Jewell just described, it's virtually a day of school. And so logistically, you are scheduling, 17 or 18 different events. You are providing hospitality for 200 to 300 community volunteers that you and your students have recruited to be there, coaches, bus drivers. You are rapidly solving problems and making decisions on the spot when somebody doesn't show up who's supposed to be there, or somebody goes to the wrong room, or someone is scheduled in the wrong place. And there is no other opportunity in high school that lets a student keep track of something and lead something that logistically complex. When, as adults, we know any number of jobs they could have will involve that kind of logistical planning and hosting.
So for our students, when you're hosting, you're obviously balancing a lot of things and wearing a lot of hats. In addition to that, you're preparing for your competition. Do you guys have any pre-competition rituals or processes that you use to make sure you've got your game faces on? Nick, I'll start with you.
Oh, I don't believe that we do for normal tournaments, but like for overnight tournaments, we always have I guess it's controlled chaos where it's like there's a tradition of bringing sparkling grape juice so that everybody can have a little bit. It's really just building community so that we know that even though we're debating on our own, we're going in this together as a team. It's all our work put together. I don't know if we have any unique pre-game traditions, though.
What about you, Maddie?
We've got a lot of long-standing ritualistic traditions pre-tournament. We do, to get both sides of the program together, we usually do like a large circle up before a tournament. We'll do like a warm-up activity, like a diction activity or something like that. And in the practices leading up to the tournament, there's a lot of team building that goes into that. There's a lot of helping each other, debating against each other, so that we really feel like a team and we feel prepared.
Maddie is, she didn't say this earlier, kind of a Renaissance person because she is in competitive drama, which is sort of the competitive theater side of it, and she does public speaking, and she's a leader in debate. And this last weekend, she ran our judges table. So she's sort of the grand poobah of our team. And so all of that sort of, combines to, she's got an experience like maybe nobody else.
Do you have to change your mindset? Do you approach those different events differently? Particularly the drama sounds like it might be a little bit, you might be using different muscles.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hard transition, especially because in a debate tournament, the speech events all happen at the same time. And so what I'm virtually doing is I'm running from one event to the other event, performing, running, and then immediately performing again. And it's definitely a skill that you have to master to switch that quickly between I'm professional, I'm giving political facts, and then I'm performing a piece about a hard topic. But I think it's all just in your mindset and how you approach each individual event. Usually I know that a common tactic is to just stand there with yourself and take a deep breath and then just go right into it.
That's something we can apply to a lot of life situations, I'm sure. Coach Joel, one of the reasons that we're here is that both Lee Summit North and Lee Summit West are ranked in the top 100 in the country. Can you explain a little bit about how rankings are determined in speech and debate? Yeah,
so we happen to be really lucky, I think, to live in one of the corridors of the country that is just superbly competitive. If you were going to rank them up, like the big four are probably New York, Texas, Missouri, and California. And it's because we have just great coaches. Mr. Good and I can attest that, we have colleagues from across the state who are every bit as passionate and involved as we are. And so what that does is it creates a great competitive circuit. That competitive circuit, builds better coaching. Better coaching draws kids into your classroom. And so the way that you actually get into those rankings are you have more kids go to more tournaments. For every round they're in, they accrue points in our National Honor Society, the National Forensic League, and then they earn degrees for their points. So it's a measure of the number of degrees of all of the competitors on your team where the national rankings come from. And so of those 3,000 some odd schools, we happen to be in the top 100, which, in our state is just very competitive. And so it has a great deal to do with, really good tradition of speech and debate. And Mr. Good and I also, we're graduates of Lee Summit High School, both came from that program, which was run by Ben Martin when we graduated.
And Mr. Good, how do the rankings and really success in that area impact a program?
Yeah, there's a few ways that a high ranking in the National Speech and Debate Association benefits the students in the Lee Summit School District. First of all, the points are cumulative over the student's high school career. And so that's how things like All-State and All-American designations are earned, or academic All-American designations. Internally, teams often use it for motivation. We have a leaderboard of the top 10 students that is updated every weekend after that competition. We have a top 10 of all time leaderboard in the history of the school. The other thing that benefits the students is that the number of entries that we get at the district competition that then can qualify them to the national speech and debate tournament is based on the size of your program and how many degrees you have. And so the more degrees you have, the more students you can take to give the opportunity to try to qualify to the national speech and debate tournament.
I'm curious for our students if participating in speech and debate has informed your thoughts about what you might want to do as a career.
I'm just going to say for sure, because even though I'm not going into anything political, I'm still going into international business management. So the skills that I've learned through debate about economics and how things work in a society and economics and all of that sort of stuff applies to my future. And the way that I learn to present myself is the way I'll present myself in meetings, and the way that I'll do interviews and all of this sort of stuff. The questioning is how I'll ask questions in interviews. All of this is life skills. It's not just, okay, I graduate high school, I'm done with speech and debate. All of those skills will continue with you forever.
Yeah, I think that just along with that, all the skills that you accrue, it definitely also informs the opportunity that you're given, because competing on such a nationally renowned circuit, getting the opportunity to qualify for the national tournament, competing there, it gives you a lot of opportunities. It definitely stuffs your resume, but it also the experience that it provides can make you more confident, a better researcher, a better speaker, and those sorts of skills translate to anything that you want to do. For me personally, I would like to go into education and research, and those are two skills that I've definitely learned over the past 3 years, coaching the younger students on my team and also researching for debate tournaments and topics.
Excellent. So we're almost out of time, but I thought maybe we could close the podcast by going around. I just want to know what you are looking forward to most when you think about looking ahead for your speech and debate club this year. And so, Maddie, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so I think we have a really healthy and devoted team this year, and what I'm really looking forward to is the camaraderie and experience that sort of thing brings. It's very affirming to have a group of people who are interested in the same topics that you're interested in, pushing you to be a better person, a better competitor, a better student, and kind of gaining that experience over the entire team and individually.
Well, this is the first year that, in 2 years that we've traveled. And so that part of it has just been like refreshing and kind of wonderful. And so, for our season begins the second week in October, and it's not over until the last week of March. And so it's a rather long season. And so the team, the core of competitors who are out every weekend, they just really build, kind of a special bond. And that kind of camaraderie is intensified by travel. And so I'm excited about the whole stint of the season right through districts.
Yeah, I would piggyback off Mr. Jewell's answer and say in-person competition. Virtual competition saved the activity. It kept students connected and active in something that very much had been an in-person event up until the pandemic. But it's nice now to be back. We have whole generations of students on our team who had never been to an in-person competition, even though they were varsity competitors. And to hear them talk about how awesome in-person tournaments are, and they had no idea it was going to be this great, and then to see the students who had experienced and are getting to do it again, just rekindle the joy and the camaraderie and the full debate and forensics experience.
This is something that Maddie's touched on a lot, but the camaraderie of one another and helping to push each other to get better. And it's very much students teaching students as much as the teachers teaching the students. So it's just an amazing experience to see this person that's just joined debate is already winning their rounds, winning tournaments. And just to think of I was hands-on in helping them get there. You can't take credit for it at all, but it's just a situation where you're very proud of your team and how much they've grown in a short period of time. So just seeing your team and seeing how they grow and being a team is just an insane experience because you do everything together. The tournaments, you go together, you cheer each other on. And when they come out and say that round sucked, you will be as just sad as they are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for coming on the podcast. I learned a lot, and I'm leaving our session really excited for you. I'm excited for what's ahead. I'm excited that you're in person, and I know that you guys are going to accomplish big things. So thanks.
You've been listening to LSR7 Sum It Up. Find more episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.